Party. Seems to be in party. Alrighty then. Throat, come on. Let's get it in gear here. We got commentating to do. Assuming everything is working. Okay, everything is working. We just got tagged. Yeah. We are here for the penultimate round of the ARC Endurance Championship, which brings us to Sao Paulo, Brazil, the Autodrome Interlagos. I think I missed a word in there, but you get the picture. Interlagos. In real life, it should be downpouring. Oh. Keep her steady there, Alan. And it should be downpouring, but because this is polyphony, they don't know that rain exists in the American continent as well, so here we are. But yeah, the 60 minutes of Sao Paulo, 60 minutes of me clearing my throat, apparently. I may need to get some water in between sessions at this rate. I probably should do that anyway. We are in the middle of qualifying for the hypercars, and we're about to see the first lap be put up on the board, assuming Luke Allen doesn't destroy the car in the process. He'll be the first to put the lap, but I think Jackson Altman's lap is going to be the first one that's actually representative of any kind of pace. 24.1, immediately followed by a 20.4. Yeah, that seems about right. My body is just a cacophony of random issues at the moment. 21.4 for Knickel, 20.6. I was looking at the wrong part of the screen. For Dominic Kubinski, following back from his absence in the previous race. Deshaun with a 23.6. Alex Heredia immediately ups the ante at 20.28. Who is not finished theirs yet. Ridwan Hamza, is apparently how it's pronounced, is only just now leaving the pits. So we have apparently all 3 FR racing cars here today, which I wasn't aware that was allowed. He's not filling in for anybody. But there are 9 GTs in the other lobby and 10 hypercars here, so we are sending 2 cars from each category home. And if it weren't for that fact, I wouldn't even be bothering with having the stream running for qualifying. Altman has just taken provisional pole by 0.02 of a second. That is incredible. He just flashed his headlights for the camera there. That would be a coincidence. There's no way he'd know. See if Heredia can respond to that. He's got his hazards on for extra speed, but he's literally letting off, so no. We've already been hearing the occasional comments that the hybrid system is making corner exits treacherous here due to their somewhat jumpy and inconsistent power delivery. We saw a handful of hypercars just lose control, especially right here at Junsao in the sort of practice shakedown thing session. So what Aiden McCarthy can do. He had a 21.4 previously. This is going to be slower by a 10.5. That is very sideways. Altman finds 6/100ths more to a 2.27. And Boriyoshi gets into the 20s realm with a 20.6. Luke Allen is out of here, apparently. I'm not sure for what reason, but that's definitely one car we're sending home. And now Ridwan is on the circuit, and I think Deshaun's about to meet disappointment, because I reckon this is going to be a little faster than a 23.6. How about a minute 20 exactly to go to the top of the table? So yeah, that just moved the bar. He also has a time penalty for his aggressive attempt at turns 1 and 2 there. May as well just back out of that. Altman has not found a time. This gets a really good final turn. Luke Allen is back, but he will not be able to rejoin the qualifying session, so his goose is cooked, I think they'd say. Altman hits. I should probably bring up the standings while there's a bit of a dull moment in the session here. I guess I'd probably have plenty of other times to do that as well, but tablet, this is not what I wanted. It is excuse me. It is not super close between well, for Hypercar, it's just AJ with a 29-point lead over Kubinski. That's probably largely due to the fact that Kubinski missed the last week. Luke Allen is third in points. That is hilarious to me. I don't know why. I guess that's what happens when you start all of the races. Heredia fourth in points. Second, third, fourth, and fifth are separated by 8 points. However, Adam Pelk, who would be fifth in points, will not be in any position to try and change that. And he's just not here. Then you have the GT class, which we're not even looking at the moment, but it is a 9-point difference for the championship lead between Itkonen and Frederick. They're over there in the other lobby qualifying at the moment. Things are decidedly more spread out there as well. So other than those top two, it's like 43 points between Scott Frederick and third in points. And then from there, it's another 23 back to Robichaud. There is a qualifying session that I should be looking at, but there's just not much going on yet. Asia Canucco with a 21-1. He made it pretty clear in practice that he was struggling with the handling of this vehicle. I think struggling is relative when you are the points leader by over a race worth of points. He just kind of scares Matt Hall out of his path. 20.1 for Heredia puts him back over Altman, but cannot touch the Australian. That's missing turn 1 and absolutely biting it, but I don't really know that it matters. I think it's going to be a miracle from either Heredia or Altman to catch that, even if it is just a 10th away. That is very much glass ceiling territory by the looks of things. Heredia is up by exactly 100th in the first sector. Meanwhile, looks like to literally round out the session, Jackson Altman will be the first across the line post 10 minutes. He has no answer at all, 20.7. I forgot about Kubinski or even Boryoshi. It is a very tight qualifying. Yoshi finds 0 improvement. AJ Knickel is out of fuel, as is McCarthy. Matt Hall, I don't think that lap was correct either. Deshaun Davis is going to need a miracle to get into the show here, and he is not going to find it. So that will, I believe, eliminate him and Luke Allen from Hypercar contention this week. Heredia to the finish line. He does take it away. Excuse me, I was not familiar with your game. A 19.88 is going to give the CL7 driver pole. Ridwan he could not compete. He missed turn 1. And that will settle the grid for Hypercar. As I believe every single AJ, what are you doing? Yes, that is the end of the session. there are your lap times. Deshaun Davis, once again, is sent home, as well as Luke Allen, and then the gap between everybody else is only 1.9. God, the distance between first and eighth is the distance between eighth and last. Ay, ay, ay. I don't think I'd make it in this grid either. I can't stand driving hypercars, but I don't even think I'd make it in the GT grid most weeks. Five within about 7/10, basically, give or take. And now we intermission because the GT session got started a little late. I'm gonna take said intermission. I'm gonna actually grab some water so I'm not clearing my throat or coughing for the entire race. So you guys, the viewers, don't lose your minds. Or me, for that matter. My mind is also at risk. Okay, or not. Apparently GT is so delayed that I don't like doing that because it's like super... GT7 doesn't know what to do if you start spectating mid-qualifying. That is the wrong one. I was like, oh yeah, it's the one with the Canadian flag. Riker? AJ Knickel is Canadian too. It's going to be giving me just like super wrong information on GT qualifying, though, is the problem. I don't know. It's not going to tell me who's actually where, because it can only tell me what the final lap each person did, and it's just going to show me results based on that. I don't think everybody's best lap is going to be their last one. That just seems inconceivable. Yeah, as you can see, it just thinks everybody is on an outlap, pretty much. 2 minutes to go in the session, allegedly. So we are going to be getting basically one lap in from everybody. Oh, actually, I guess that was an outlap for Darius. And this is presumably also an outlap for Scott Frederick, yeah. Okay, Robichaud seems to actually be on a lap. There's no outlap indicator on the top of his little countdown. Countdown, what? His time. You know, it says there for Idkin and outlap, doesn't say that for the AMG driver. So it's actually going to tell me a lap time. Yesn't. There we go. It's a 32.0. Now, it says he's on pole, but that's only because that's the first lap that I've actually seen that's actually been set since I appeared. So it's giving me basically... It's telling me as if the session just started the second I appeared, which is not true. Looks like AJ2 is here as well. I don't remember. I can't really speak on how competitive any of these laps are because I don't actually know if that's their best. This is why I was really hesitant to even go back to the GT lobby because we're only seeing laps that were set after I got here. I don't even know if this is the right order. It seems relatively... No, it doesn't. I don't feel like Connor Hannock would be 4th, so... And I don't think Jonas would be 7th. So, yeah, we're just kind of waiting until all of the laps come in. This is just incredibly inconclusive. The session's about to end. Jonas will be the first car to cross after 10 minutes have elapsed. 31.7. Supposedly ahead of Darius by 2 thousandths. 33.7. See what AJ2 has to offer here as he heads up to the line. $34.1. Connor Hannick produces a 33.3. So we're having GT be the smaller field tonight, so 2 cars from GT are going home. I can only assume up to this point that it's Preston Van Wee and AJ2. Darius up to the finish line. That is a 31.3. Scott Frederick to the stripe. 31.9. I have a hard time believing that's his best time. Only a 32.7 here. Maybe it'll update at this screen. Okay, those laps look more correct. Maybe. Honestly, I still don't know. Supposedly your pole sitter is Darius and then Idkonen. Frederick with a little bit of a disappointing qualifying session, only 4th. He's competing directly with Idkonen, who just got on the front row. That hasn't told me anything. I'm gonna have to probably mention that to somebody in the future that, hey, I don't know, this doesn't tell me anything because it's only registering what has happened since I joined. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get in here, I'm gonna set it to spectate just whoever, if anybody I can find who's just running laps, and I'm gonna go up and get a drink while they set the starting grid. I probably could have just done that, honestly. Okay, who is just driving? Who is on the track for something to look at? Why are you on intermediate, Scott? Nobody is on the track. Okay, I'm just gonna be right back. I need a bottle of water. It would seem that McCarthy is aware that the camera is looking at him. Apparently we're waiting on a handful of people at the moment. Yoshi's having internet issues again. And like I saw in the chat, somebody said they had to use the bathroom. Already paid for the whole circuit, he's going to use the whole circuit. Holy cow. Alright. Yoshi is back. I think at this moment now we're also waiting. I don't know if Dominic is still being waited on. And then also Darius is having issues getting into the party chat that the drivers are using to communicate safety cars in the event that there is one. We haven't had very many. I think there's been, what, 2 in all of the races I've commentated thus far? Now! Don't get ahead of yourself. We're probably still setting the grid because Yoshi just got here. Third gear out of turn 2, or turn 1 even, that's crazy. These things are really just that temperamental when you put the throttle down? I had no idea. Oh, well, they're definitely temperamental over the curbs. A car isn't, though. Well, GTs, but that's not the point I'm making. Okay, I guess they just are. Like F124 type strategies. You gotta just jam the gears down to first so you can turn in, but then you gotta put it back up to like fourth so you can get out of the turn with like traction of any description, otherwise you just die. I think it's kind of also been like that for most of the Codemasters F1 games. Just the torque curve is just so insane. Alright, 10 minutes of, I guess basically a warm-up session later. We are finally on the grid and about to do the formation lap. Water. I just got dunked on by a bottle lid. What does my life come to? Just refused to open. Anywho, as for tonight's starting grid, Heredia takes another pole position. I feel like I should just have that sentence on like a tape recorder or something, or a soundboard. Followed closely by Redwan Hamza, Jackson Altman, Dominic Kubinski, Boryoshi, AJ Knickel, Aiden McCarthy, and Matt Hall rounds out the qualifiers. Deshaun Davis and Luke Allen get sent home from that. And then the Volvo of Darius, 9 races in, still no confirmation on pronunciation. Jonas Itkunen, our championship leader, starts from second. Oh, in GT anyway. Then Stefan Robichaud, Scott Frederick, Holden Horn, Preston Van Wee, and Caden McDonald. Connor Hannock and AJ2 got sent home, because I haven't even seen a last name for him. I've seen Darius' last name, and I can't make heads or tails out of it because I'm a dumb American, but I got to even see the other AJ's last name pop up in the server at all. But we ought to be, I think, doubling up here in a moment, and you're only about a minute away from taking the green flag. I said we should be doubling up here in a moment. Alright, there we go. I think it's basically all under Alexis's control whenever he decides to hit the gas and put in the right gear. Don't launch in 7th. And we are away The 60 minutes of Sao Paulo is green. And Heredia is very easily safe into turn 1. It's an amalgamation on the way down towards turn 1. Where is the 6 car? Heredia has disappeared. There's a spinning AJ Knickel in the background. Not sure if there was a cause or if that was just driver error. Heredia grabs a time penalty for basically disappearing at the apex of turn 1. I don't think he even actually hit that apex at any point. I think he totally whiffed it. I think Matt Hall had the best start there. He's up to 4th. But he's kind of getting a little wide there. Altman doesn't force the issue just yet, though. Probably because they're only on lap 1 of the race. And that is a safety car for the singular car spin. Apparently. Unless I missed something, but as far as I saw, I only saw AJ Knickel loop it. I guess it's my fault for making a comment on how few safety cars we've had this season. And then suddenly, just like, I think half of the field forgot how to make turn 1, 2, and 3 here. Aiden McCarthy, no, that's Jackson Altman, elects to pit. My best guess is he's trying to get off the mediums, since you only have to run the 1 lap. As for AJ, I'm not sure why he's pitting. He doesn't have any damage. It might just be a case of you might as well top up since you're in last anyway. It's my only estimation. There isn't even anything to, there's no, like, parameters or permutations to cover on this safety car when it's on the first lap of the race. There's no strategy to look at. There's no big changes in positions or way to analyze the cause, because we've done 2 corners of racing, basically. I mean, we raced all the way down to the first hairpin of Sector 2 before the safety car was thrown, but nothing has happened. There's nothing to speak on yet. In retrospect, I'm not actually sure why Jackson chose to pit. I know, like, actually, no, I get Jackson, because he is able to get off the mediums, AJ is able to do his mandatory as well, but it's not like their fuel tanks are going to really go that far, and for that matter, not much fuel has been used, because, as I just said, we did exactly 1 sector of racing before everybody was back to safety car conditions. Nobody has used that much fuel, because we've spent 4 of the 7 minutes we've been here running 60 miles an hour, mostly in 7th gear, for a lot of drivers if they're smart. I don't know if we're green this time. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be. I'll know if I see Heredia downshift a bunch, but I don't see him doing that. Okay, never mind, I now see him doing that. So at the 6 car's command, let's try this again, folks. We are green, back to green from Interlagos. And it's going to be too wide between the 2 Australians into turn 1. Aiden McCarthy will actually be victorious in that endeavor. The Volvo moves to second, or actually that might be more of a Polestar, I think. Altman already back to fifth, Boryoshi to dead last in the category already. He may have made a mistake or something. Vinsky with the decel penalty. I dare say this track is probably the least punishing decel zone, because if I remember right, it's actually the run up to Junso, not out of, that it slows you down at. Down the inside, Jackson Altman goes. Forces a splitter there, forces Matt Hall to give way, but I don't believe that that's going to be enough of a deterrent. No, he's not going to get the move done there. I'm also just completely talking out of nothing. That is not where the decel zone is. There it is up there, so that is just standard fare. Kubinski may lose a spot there. Altman going against Hall a second time. Drag race down towards turn 1. Who decides to brake later is just the real operative question here. Looks like Altman. I think they made contact at the apex of 1. Matt Hall still fighting for his life, but his time has expired. Altman finally muscles his way by. And AJ did in fact get ahead of Kubinski following that penalty for him. Oh yeah, that's right, there is a GT class, isn't there? I should probably look at that. Preston Van Wee, once again, continuing the trend of just having his signal or blinker on for no reason. And Darius is running away with things at the front of the field at the moment. I guess not running away, but you get the picture. He's got one of the more comfortable leads on the track right now, and not many people are more than a second removed from their closest competitor. Aiden McCarthy now suddenly is. I think he made a mistake while we were looking away, and now he is under threat from Jackson Altman. His fellow countryman got by in the intermission while we were looking away, and now he may be under threat from losing the second place. That's pretty much... that's about as easy as they come, especially at Interlagos. Jackson Altman onto the podium places after his pit stop. He is making the most out of the fresh tires, even if it's only really the smallest of margins in tire wear between him and every other soft tire runner. Let's see if Robichaud has anything to offer the Porsche up ahead of him. He's got a really good run out of turn 3. But that's quite a distance to close, and this back straight's not that long. Just under 2/10, but he doesn't have the nerve to send it at turn 4. Kubinski, meanwhile, is still working at AJ Knickel's diffuser. Trying to find some weakness in there. I think you'll find it on the traction zones, personally. As that's where AJ said he was struggling in practice, but he seems to have maybe ironed out the bugs there as we get into the race proper. Still down to 2/10 distance between the two. Kubinski could have a look. He doesn't. No, he does. That camera just lied to me. But I think he made too much contact and aborted the attempt, which is just giving him... just giving Yoshi an excuse to try his luck. He will have a peek, but he will do nothing more. I tell you, that camera takes way too long to transition at the exit, at the entry to turn 1. Every time somebody has gone for a move there, the camera has just not looked at it because it's still focusing on the straightaway. There's an interesting way out of that corner for both of these cars. Ridwan could not physically be any closer to the back of Alexis if he wanted to be. I'm sure he does want to be, but somehow Heredia gets away with a really good exit from Junsao, and that's gonna maybe complicate matters for the Australian driver, but I don't know about how much. Wow, actually it's pretty clear to me that they're running lower wings on that CL7 car. So Ridwan will not have a chance. He's got to get him in the corners, and that's not exactly easy to do in this category. Altman is right there now. He's within striking distance of Ridwan himself. Things have progressed very rapidly for Altman since making that lap 1 pit stop. Unsurprisingly, he is the fastest car on the track right now, and a distinction he holds relatively comfortably, all things considered, as I stretch. Those are lines. What am I looking at here? Heredia is using some unique racing lines, but it's actually Ridwan that gets smacked with a penalty. That's gonna put him well behind Altman with that one. I was looking at the wrong car. I was wondering what Heredia's approach to the hairpin was. I guess I didn't really notice that Ridwan just straight up exited the racetrack. Does Robichaud look for a move this time? No, he doesn't. He is in no real rush. Neither is Preston, for that matter. We have GT cars that are definitely close together, but everybody seems to have that, definitely has that 60-minute mentality of, you know, we're only a quarter of the way through the race. Let's not do something stupid. Interested to see if now, having been gifted second after Ridwan's penalty, if maybe Altman has any offer for Alex Heredia. I feel like he probably will, since he's on the faster tires, and he's been showing some insane race pace ever since we took the green off the safety car. But he can't be too complacent. Ridwan hasn't exactly left the picture yet. About 1.5 between the two, the front two cars. Ridwan chasing as well to try and remain in the picture. I almost seem to be pushing it a little bit to try and stay in the picture. That actually lost Ridwan some time. That's gotten Altman a slight amount of breathing room, even if just a little. And look elsewhere on the grid. Kubinski has a run, but there's no way he'd be close enough. It will not be long before, yeah, it's going to be just a couple of moments before the first blue flags are displayed for one Caden McDonald running last on track. And then there you can see Heredia in the background, the hypercar leader. Lap traffic will be officially in play 16.5 minutes into the event. Admittedly, that's a little later than it should be, if not for the fact that we had a safety car. But still. You know, since the laps are shorter, we're going to be lapping the GTs probably just as many times in spite of that. And we'll see how Caden McDonald gets out of the way, and how everybody else deals with him. He doesn't actually have to get out of the way. It's certainly an option, and it may generally be the better thing to do if you're not really in any sort of situation where it's urgent to go. But obviously, you know, the golden rule, it's the hypercar's job to get by you without causing any issues. And no issues so far for at least the lead three. It's going to be when these three actually catch a battle in the GT category, such as what Heredia is currently staring down at between Preston and Holding Horn. That's when things may complicate. No complications for Heredia. Altman has to go down the inside. He has to make an actual pass. He's going to be the only one losing time there, as Ridwan didn't actually have to really do that. He just kind of followed Jackson Altman ahead. So that, I mean, I think it cost Altman time, but considering he'd pulled so much on Heredia before that point, down the inside goes Ridwan. I was not prepared for those ambush tactics. A little bit of F1 style squeezing on the way out, too. I don't know if Altman's going to be the happiest about that maneuver. I don't think I'd be terribly pleased myself, either. It's also very clear that Altman was in fact pushing, as despite being one lap newer, it looks like his softs are already more worn than Ridwan's. And now the battle between Robichaud and Frederick is overcome by the battle for Hypercar. I think there was contact there. Well, Lake orchestrated contact, but contact. Wasn't that a view? We just saw cars from both categories just see through the shot. That's a social media promo if ever I saw one. That's a late lunge from Ridwan. That was never going to produce anything, but that's certainly going to get him ahead of any lap cars. Maybe, just maybe, you know, put Heredia back on notice. Altman got caught up in the flood of GT traffic, so he's going to be, I don't want to say out of the battle. I mean, he is for the moment, for sure. Not out of contention, though. He's just kind of somewhere else at the moment. God, this is just utter chaos through the third sector right now, or second sector. I forgot where it ended. Kubinski and Kaneko are fighting, by the way. Like, this is a battle for sixth, and they're just having to sneak through the traffic as they do so. Kubinski's got a golden opportunity here. We'll see if he can do something with it this time. He's been trying to get by the Canadian drivers basically since lap 2 after the restart. He's only now going to have a chance. He's going to have to go the long way by. And that, unsurprisingly, does not work out. God! This is basically a short track, Bristol Motor Speedway type nonsense. There's 7 cars on the run down to turn 5. 6. Numbers, whatever. You get the picture. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Ridwan has officially closed the gap back down to Heredia. May be hard for him to dispatch of him, though, because even with the better tires, 1, they're going to be wearing out soon. 2, it is evident that he is running more downforce than Alexis is on the 6. So he's not going to be able to just use the straightaway to get it done. He's going to have to be more inventive. That's a line, Kubinski. I don't know about that. And I'm sure the stewards don't really know about that either, but yeah, that's going to be a slap on the wrist for that one. It's going to put him down to last in the category. The distance is less. Edkunen he's picked up the speed as Darius, I think, has picked up the tire wear by the looks of things. Distance is now down to about 9/10 between the Lexus and the Volvo. And Robichaud is still glued to the back of the Porsche. Caden McDonald pits. I guess he thinks his right front has taken enough pain? He's on for another set of soft tires. I know the tire wear does seem like it's kind of aggressive here, so perhaps a two-stop is the way to go. And maybe that's his goal. Maybe that's his call. He's just going for an early two-stop to try and mix up the strategy. He has to do something, because from where he's sitting on the track, he ain't going to be able to do much. That was an absolutely prime June Sal from Itkunen. That's going to really close him in on that Volvo up there. Head on board with the FR Racing competitor and see just how much he gains. Honestly, not as much as I thought he would. Maybe he's running a lower fuel mix or higher downforce. But under braking, well, you don't need a fuel mix to hit the brakes. What? I don't know what I was cooking with that statement. That's a Rikerism right there for the books. I was trying to say the fuel mix doesn't affect how late you can brake or how well you can brake, but I think I found possibly the dumbest possible way to convey that information. That is a train. 4-car train being led by Aiden McCarthy with tires that have absolutely given up. Meanwhile, there's 2 medium runners also in the train, and Dominic Kubinski is not too far away. That is a battle. That is an overtake on tap. AJ Knickel just dusts Matt Hall on the straight. Although they're not done yet. We'll actually see what Boryoshi sees, because I don't trust the camera to actually follow the action properly. They've all caught the Volvo of Caden McDonald. Blue flags, they're 3 wide. This is a great pick for a camera. The 2 FR teammates collide on the exit of 3, as Matt Hall eventually had to rejoin the circuit. Boryoshi is going to pick up a spot from that chaos caused by the wild card, literally, of Caden McDonald. And then we have Aiden McCarthy, who's just left the pits with not as much fuel as I expected he'd be leaving the pits with, I'll be honest. And there's also a penalty for Mr. Hall. I think the the tire deg has finally kicked in on Red One's car as well. He is making up no time on Heredia. Heredia now just kind of driving off into the distance from him, as a matter of fact. Almost a 2-second lead as we begin lap 17 of the race. And Altman scorches into the pit lane. So despite being the only driver that pit on lap 1, he's going to be the second driver to pit after that. Only beaten to the punch by Aiden McCarthy, who was very clearly just shredding his right side tires. Matt Hall will follow him in. Will follow Altman in, I should say. However, for the most part, it'll be a while before we see any more pit stops from the hypercar category. Red One is the only one left that started on softs. That hasn't, admitted defeat and got some new tires. I can very clearly tell Preston is going to be in the same boat in due time with tire wear like that. I think Darius is also in a bit of a danger zone in more ways than one. Itkunen smells the blood in the water. That is, I don't think Darius even bothered fighting that one off. His tires aren't in good enough shape for him to do so. Retreat to fight another day. Maybe get him when you're on fresh mediums, perhaps. Undercuts are always on the table if he can stick with Eunice for at least this lap. So the points leader is now the category leader. I thought we were destined for contact there. Boryoshi is destined for internet issues, however. That will be the end of his race. The Volvo is indeed keeping with the Lexus just well enough to where I think if he gets like a really good pit entry, which isn't really that hard to do here, and a good outlap, he could really put Eunice under threat unless Eunice pits first for some reason, which I don't think will be happening. Robichaud's also fallen off the back of Scott Frederick. He is not pitting on this occasion. That is surprising. That right front is screaming absolute bloody murder. Or we're under a safety car, and I don't know anything of the cause. Nothing seems amiss. Why safety car? I don't follow. What did I miss? I guess that would be why Darius wasn't pitting, because he probably heard the safety car called, and now everybody is able to get a free pit stop next time by. Unless anybody has too little fuel to do that. No, fuel's not really an issue in this race. It's been tire wear. It's been the right front absolutely suffering through turns 1, 3, 4, I guess kind of 5, 8, and the last 2. Relatively high-speed turns, a lot of them. A lot of the hairpins are right-handers, so the left front isn't really getting the same kind of treatment. But, as we undergo safety car conditions for a cause I've not yet determined, I need more water. My throat is starting to hate me. Well, this is certainly life-changing news for the entire top 3. Actually, it's just the top 2. AJ had already pit, I think. Actually, no, he hadn't. It's the bottom 3 that this really affects, because they've already made their pit stop. They're the ones left with the choice. The other 4 really would be silly not to pit on this occasion. AJ can do whatever he wants from here, because he already got his mandatory done on lap 1. So he can take whatever tires he wants, although I would not recommend the softs. I don't think they will cover the distance. Then again, Ridwan just made them do so who knows, but that was also under many pace laps. And I'm sure if we ran those laps at full speed, those softs would have fallen off, and he'd probably be pitting on this lap. So I don't know. I guess the soft could make it from here, but you'd have to do so much tire saving that it wouldn't be worth it, I think. However, for Kubinski and Heredia, it's not really a choice. They have to go onto the softs here. You might just see adventurous individuals such as Aiden McCarthy and Matt Hall, who already pit. They are staying out. They will claim first and second on track. But every single GT car makes their way into the pit lane. And now, for everyone else, fuel saving is one of the most important things you could have done. Because if you know, taking less fuel means you're spending less time in the pit, obviously. And for any keen individuals, especially in the GT category, as we've just seen happen with Scott Frederick, who probably took way less fuel, has jumped Darius in the pits. And Robichaud, who took probably more, has been jumped in the pits by Holden. And Heredia has been jumped in the pits by Jackson and Ridwan. I don't think Aiden has the fuel to go to the end unless he does some major saving, at which point it may be a sunk cost type of thing. This is going to be a very interesting battle in Hypercar because now things have flip-flopped. Altman is now third and leader among the cars that did pit on that safety car. He's going to have to pass Matt Hall and Aiden McCarthy cleanly in order to remain in the lead. He's got Ridwan right there, but Heredia is going to be on the softest tire, along with AJ Knickel and Kubinski. So Altman had best make good his escape plan. I think the field is bunched up. I mean, might be green here, I don't know. Everybody is so close together, it kind of looks like we will be though, so prepare for the green flag on Aiden McCarthy's call. And we are back to green. Second safety car is concluded. Aiden McCarthy is out of here, and Jackson Altman is immediately aware that he needs to get ahead of these two, put some cars in between himself and Ridwan and Heredia. And he's already going to put Matt Hall in the way. I don't really think he's going to be much of an obstacle to his teammate, though, but they are instead going to have an obstacle in the form of track limits. I don't know if the stewards are going to like that. No, they're both smacked with half seconds, so that's going to put them both behind Heredia, probably. Yeah, Matt Hall doesn't really fight it on the way out of 4. He can play obstacle. AJ Knickel can play overtake on the way through turn 6. Continuing to fight, Heredia is going to get back by on the inside of the hairpin, though, and he's actually going to instead lose a spot to Kubinski, who goes all the way around to the second hairpin of the sector. And AJ is going to peek back down the inside of the Nexus car. They're all too wide up around here. Matt Hall has definitely done at least what he can. That is a very sideways AJ Knickel down the long left-hander. We'll see where, yeah, Matt Hall is getting last. He's demoted. Ridwan may lose third to Heredia. He will. We'll see if he can try and take it back. I don't think he will, though. Kubinski has put a tire in the grass. That's a spinning car, but is recovered relatively quickly. I don't think we're really going to have many complications there. Heredia has been unleashed. This is the absolute last thing that Jackson Altman wanted to see. And Aiden McCarthy is running for his life. He's got an almost 2-second lead over Altman. I suppose he is running a little lighter at the moment because he's got only half a tank of fuel, but he's got to push that tank of fuel 24 more minutes worth of racing. I don't know if he can do that. And if he does, he ain't going to be keeping this kind of pace for too long. Auburn just needs to defend. He just needs to just block. If he lets Heredia go, it's game over. He's got to at least keep him back there for long enough for his tires to start feeling the burn. Because his mediums aren't really going to wear that much between now and the checkered flag. Heredia is going to hit the tire wear, but it's going to still take a handful of laps. I don't know how on earth he got that stopped, but Jackson Altman is going to cut back ahead of him. That was a bit of a miscalculation. I tried to get into an onboard camera because I didn't think the trackside camera would follow the action properly. Ridwan is on the mediums as well, so he's not going to have the easiest time getting a pass. He nearly just about smacked into the 6 car there, though. Aiden's lead has evaporated. It is now down to less than a second. It's been cut in half in just about 1 lap, even though Jackson was actively fighting Heredia through 1 and 2. I can very clearly tell I need another drink because I'm clearing my throat again, but I can't do it because we're in the middle of racing. And there's an active fight on the track between like 3.5 cars. Altman is blinking his lights at Aiden. He's trying to get any kind of communication he can. If not cooperation, perhaps a warning. You don't want to get in the way of this, pal. Aiden's not listening. He's breaking the toe, or trying. And Altman needs every sip of it because that's the only thing keeping him away from Heredia right now. If you can somehow get the pass done on the Australian and put an object in between him and Heredia, that would be crucial. Oh, sideways there? That's an odd one, I'm not gonna lie. Does Heredia go for it? No, there's no way. Oh, he about got him on exit. He might get him on exit, actually. I don't know what kind of grip he found on the way out. That was just weird. That was some kind of movie pull on the GT7 AI. So that is Heredia to second on just corner exit ambush tactics. We'll see if Aiden McCarthy continues to be a spanner in the works. Altman may still have a chance to use him as a pick. Depending on what Aiden McCarthy actually does, anyway. Heredia just finding more traction than everybody, though. The racing softs, obviously, are the thank for that. And that is Heredia to the race lead. The 6 car is unleashed. Altman, if he can't get this pass done on the way to turn 1 right now, or he's gonna bump draft him. Is he trying to get Aiden McCarthy to go for the move? I think he is. Didn't happen, though. Heredia defended. Instead, Altman is just gonna say, alright, you've outlived your usefulness. I must now overtake. I need to pursue that car before it is too late. That's ambient birds. I just realized this is still like a 6-car train. AJ and Dominic have not completely lost the plot yet. And as they continue fighting, never mind, they're also fighting. McCarthy versus Hamza. Ridwan is going to maybe get to 3rd here. He will, and AJ defends from Dominic for like the 7th time in the race. And suddenly it's Scott Frederick. I feel like I just should have been looking there because he was also on the softer tires. I hadn't even been thinking about that. I was looking at the battle for the lead. I wasn't paying any attention to the fact that there may be a battle for the lead in GT as well. That's a very big deal because that is 2 positions between where Scott Frederick is sitting and Ikunen. That's, I think, a 10-point swing right now. I think Scott Frederick is your points leader. And I need water. It's not negotiable anymore. I'm tired of clearing my throat. Ichikanego now overtakes McCarthy. I think his his Logan Cool-esque strategy didn't really pay off in the long term. That is an interesting maneuver from the Australian driver. That's going to give Kubinski the freest overtake, and I don't think Knickel is going to be super happy in the voice chat about that lunge and a half. That is bad, I would say. And now Kubinski's going to just take the lead, or take the spot away from McCarthy as well, potentially. Despite some erratic moving on the straightaway. Just ultra defense. Aiden is looking a lot like Logan today. Now Dominic can't get by, almost causing AJ to be able to re-overtake. There's nothing doing up ahead. This is the only battle in the hypercar category. And now all of a sudden, it couldn't in on the harder tires is under threat from Holden Horn as well. It would be a very big deal if Holden can assist his teammate and take more points away from the Lexus. That is a penalty for Aiden McCarthy. And now he's going to get out of AJ's way. He probably shouldn't have been in front of him in the first place, if you were to ask me. Nose itches. Oh, blue flags. I was like, I don't recognize that engine pitch. That's not a hypercar. No, it isn't. That's a Corvette. Edward Warren just made up super time under braking just there. Oh. Excuse me. That came out of nowhere. It's like Holden will not be able to be putting much further pressure on Itkonen. Instead, he's getting the pressure applied by Robichaud, who's uncharacteristically in the back in this race. 5th in class. And there's Heredia lapping him. Ugh. Go aboard with the Canadian driver as he attempts to close the distance to that Porsche. They both hold the white line to make it simpler for the hypercars to pass. And now we can fight. It was not the best 1, 2, 3 for Holden Horn. Once again, Robichaud's going to be right there to put the pressure on. And he's feeling it. He's defending. But his attempt is foiled as he's being lapped by his own teammate. It's really inconvenient. But at the same time, that's a fight between Nexus and Vision on both categories. Dominic trying to take the spot. I think actually, no. We would have had that before. I think that's Dominic reclaiming the spot on Kinnickel after losing it at some point earlier. They're still fighting through the hairpins, but AJ eventually has to give up that one. And meanwhile, still nothing doing here. But yeah, I was trying to convey that that's a battle between Nexus and Vision 47 in both categories, so they both kind of affected each other. There's nothing they could do about it. That is an incredibly unstable Porsche. Literally. Getting nudged out into the grass by the hypercar of Aiden McCarthy. And that is going to give Robichaud the free spot. That man is a problem today. I shouldn't laugh. I'm gonna anyway. And now the battle just returns to the two who didn't pit under that safety car. Right back in the back of the field anyway, as if nothing ever changed. Why is there yellow? Oh, that is Caden McDonald. That is Aiden McCarthy just smacking Darius. That's a teammate. And Matt Hall goes down the inside. That's a pretty easy pass for him after taking advantage of two wild card drivers bashing their skulls together. While the third one was spinning for good mission. Wild Card has really lived up to their names in this race. There's still a yellow flag. Is he not recovered yet? He is only now getting back up to speed. What in the world was going on there? And he gets a penalty for good measure. Alright, this time I definitely did catch the reason why there's a caution. Caden McDonald, getting lost. Doing his best Kimi Räikkönen 2012 impression there, not remembering how to recover the vehicle, and that caused a very clear safety hazard that, actually lost his teammate a spot. His team owner, for that matter. So with 11.5 minutes of racing to go, that is a third safety car. We've had more safety cars in this race than I think in the entire than the other 8 combined, I believe. So I'm not really sure where the racing standards have gone today. And again, it could be a lot worse. If you know, you know. And I feel like most of the people in the server know. Well, more water. AF1. Yeah, the IndyCar races were also bad, but I was referring to the recent AF1 races. So this safety car will probably leave us with like a 5-lap run to the finish, I would estimate, because it's going to be another 3 minutes of safety car until we get back to this point on the track after pit stops. I'll be curious to see. I think the soft tire runners are going to have to concede that their tire wear is getting excessive, so Reddy is going to have to make yet another run through the field, or at least another run through Altman and Hamza. I keep doing that because I just keep thinking of like Hamilton, or just like ham sandwich. It's not how you say that. You pronounce names like Kubinski and Kochelniak, but you can't do Hamza, Riker? Come on. You're better than that. Ignore the fact that I still don't know how to say Darius's last name. I've never been given instructions. That's not the point. Like, even Itkunen is kind of messes with your eyes a little, because it just looks like another I, or maybe an L. I used to say Ikonen, and yet it was actually his first name I was screwing up, thinking it was Jonas, not Jonas. So, go figure. And we have the last name of Heredia, which is also kind of a mixed bag, because every time I look at that last name, I just think of the word hereditary. And I don't think I ever said it wrong, as much as my brain briefly thought it was pronounced Heredia, or Herdia. No, it's Heredia. It also sounds like, if it's not like the joke on the word hereditary, it could just easily be like some sort of weird deity, like the Egyptian god Heredia or something. Like. Anyway, weird etymology jokes aside, I don't know if the field's going to be waiting for McDonald. He was the caution car, and we're kind of on a time crunch here, so I'd be really surprised if we wait for him to go green. I think we're gonna get, if they're a minute 20 laps, so 4 minutes for 3 laps, 5:20, 6:40. It's going to be real close, but I think we're going to be looking at 5 laps. And we're going to finish that 5th lap like just after 60 minutes have expired. Or if anything else, I feel like half the hypercars will maybe start a 6th lap, because we are about to take the green with 7 minutes to go. or we're not taking the green here at all, and that's going to absolutely mess up my math. I guess we are, in fact, waiting for McDonald, who is on the opposite side of the circuit, and honestly, might not even get here in time. He still might not be at the back of the queue before the leaders get out of Junsao. Such is just the deficit between the two groups of, like, him and everybody else. I don't know why you two are too wide. What is going on here? This isn't a NASCAR restart. We don't have to do that. AJ getting his brakes warmed up. I think he's the only person doing that at the moment. Yeah, so it's once again going to be a game of Heredia just having to break through the defense. It's going to be much more fragile defense this time, though, I think, because Redwan and Jackson's tires are a little more worn out. Not much. I don't think that's actually going to lose them any overall pace compared to fresh tires, but those are still fresh, soft tires, and it's Alexis Heredia. Alexis's biggest threat right now, honestly, might just be Kubinski if he gets a really good start here. So instead, I think it's going to be a 3-lap dash. We're going to come to the start-finish line with about 4.5 minutes to go. 122.44. Okay, so it might be a 4-lap run to the finish. Oh my god! You gotta do like 10 more minutes, throat/lungs. Suck it up. Yeah, 5 minutes to go. As funny as it'd be if we just pulled the string and said the race is over. But no, because this is still enough time to get 3 laps in, because it's Interlagos. And with just under 5 minutes... I apologize. We are back to green from Interlagos. 4.5 minutes to go as we take the start-finish line. Ridwan and Jackson better run. Or they better hope Dominic does exactly what I said might happen. He gets a really good jump off of the restart, but is only really able to cling on for 1 turn on the way out. Let's see what Heredia does on the way to turn 4. Not close enough for a move, though. Nobody's making moves anywhere, for that matter, except for GT. Darius is feeling a little lucky at the moment. He's going to have the better exit. That is a really scruffy exit for Frederick. Too wide for the category lead in GT. And this is not a spot Frederick wants to give up easily, because these are big championship points if he stays there. And he will not be giving it up just yet. That is absolute chaos on the way out of that hairpin. Contact between, I think, Dominic and Alexis, but not really meaning much. Jackson is getting swept up in the wave of cars. Trying to fend off third from Kubinski, but I think that's going to be it for Altman. Even Altman's own teammate, I think, is going to try and take a crack at him here. Never mind, he got no traction. Just over 3 minutes to go. It's going to be 3 laps left between the hypercar class anyway, and I mean all of it. Every single car going through turns 1, 2, and 3 at the same time. Dominic gets into the side of Altman. I don't know how the heck he got back past him. Altman basically fighting on half tires, desperate to cling on to the points he can claim. AJ trying to not be in last. He has a points lead, but a race like this is not going to help it any. Attempted around the outside for Heredia, not quite. Not there anyway. How about the second hairpin? No, but now he has the inside. Big contact. Bit of a squeeze maneuver from Ridwan, and that ends predictably, but it's going to be enough to at least keep the Aussie in the lead for the moment. Everybody just files through this hairpin. The camera just showing that everybody's under a blanket. If these two do something silly, every single car could get collected, and we could suddenly have an Aiden McCarthy overall win, and like a very NASCAR sequence of events. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's not impossible. That is a huge run for Heredia, and we do remember, I think I noted, he has less wings than Ridwan does. To the apex we go. The camera does eventually transition. Crossover canceled. Ridwan still leading on the way out of turn 3. This isn't even the final lap. Ridwan's got to hold him off for 2 laps still. On those now mostly worn but just also harder compound tires. They're not really worn out yet, it's just that they're the harder compound. It's literally just Heredia's racecraft versus Ridwan, pretty much. Just the tires just are in his favor, but Ridwan just has defensive driving to a T. I think his run might be over here. No. He's going to be able to stick on the inside, but the exit out of the outside there is really strong. Heredia finally gets it done. 2 laps and change in the making. We'll see if Ridwan continues to be an obstacle for Kubinski. Sometimes you might want to almost employ the strategy of playing them against each other. Let Kubinski go up there, let him fight. See if he can drag you back into the fight. But I don't think Ridwan plays those games. White flag in the air for the 6 car, who has had to pose on pit cycle, lost and reclaimed the lead thrice, and is now just 2.68 miles away from yet another victory. Every single hypercar will take 1 more lap, but the GTs will do no such thing. The time will expire before Scott Frederick gets to the stripe. That's an iffy final turn for Scott Frederick. We'll see if the Volvo can take advantage. He's getting right up there. Oh, he is absolutely taking advantage. Too wide they go, but the race is over. 200ths. Scott Frederick bailed out by the way that this game works. If this is any other video game, that's an overtake for the Volvo, but instead Scott Frederick is bailed out by GT7 just not making sense. You still have the hypercars to look at, though. Eventually, Dominic did get by Ridwan, presumably from a mistake looking at his time penalty there. And just put another one up on the board for the 6 car. You had to work a lot harder here than at some others, though. But he is going to take the W. Dominic Kubinski gets 2nd place. That's actually a really big deal for him in points. Jackson is going to actually beat... How did he just beat Ridwan to the line there? What did he do? Oh, he had the D-cell pen, that's right. That half-second penalty just gave Jackson Altman a podium at the last gasp. And AJ Knickel with 5th place. Not really the runner points leader needed at all. And Maiden McCarthy. Yes, Maiden. You're now a woman. Well, my throat has had enough of me. That will do it from Interlagos, smallest track on the calendar, or at least the most compact. It means there's just more action covering less space. Safety cars were a necessary component for this race to keep it interesting, but that will do it from the ARC Endurance Championship. 2 weeks' time, we take the season finale at for the ARC Petite Le Mans at Road Atlanta. We're taking an off week for Easter Sunday, of course, but until then, big shout out to SimLeaguePro.com and to the Racing Rats, our Soto Corsa modding partners. The host is into the game. Our Soto Corsa modding partners that keep our own AC leagues running, as well as to DIVEBOMB, our title sponsor that you see all over the cars. The ongoing media project covering motorsports news. But yeah, my voice has had enough. I'm going to go end the stream. Until then, until the 27th, farewell.